During May, we're looking at different incidents in Matthew's Gospel where Jesus encountered really testing circumstances. Last week, the wilderness. This week, the news. I've taken turning the news off the telly after about 1 minute of headlines. They say news to be news usually has to be bad news. I'm sure Jesus would have turned it off when it was all Brexit. How about now? Closer to home, people I know and have known of have died. Among them, one in Italy and one in Winscombe. 4 people allowed at the crematorium. It's his cousin, John the Baptist, malicious, gruesome, also a foretaste of his own future, against all Jewish law to satisfy Herod's dinner guests. Find somewhere quiet to grieve, to pray, to pour out his heart to his heavenly Father. Jesus, in these moments, all too fully aware of his own humanness, here as we would be, pouring himself out, being real. And then the crowd arrives. Go away, crowd, can't you see I'm grieving? No, that isn't how he reacts. He heals sick people. And the next thing we hear is miraculously feeding 5,000. Could have sent them away, invited to do so by his disciples. Heals, feeds, and only then back up the mountain to pray. Both and. In these unprecedented times, I avoided the Second World War by a few years. As the hymn says, I have longed at times for the silence of eternity interpreted by love. I've met him in the hills and woods above Hutton. I've seen him in the blue of the sky and the bluebells, heard him in the birdsong in ways I don't remember before. A course on the Lord's Prayer we're doing at the moment starts with Our Father in Heaven, hallowed be thy name. Don't jump on too quickly to the request section, even in and especially in times like these. Exalt him, draw close to him, a re-evaluation, a sustained intimacy. He loves you. But being on one's own has a very different ring for many people during this crisis. And we as his people need, whatever the news and whatever our moods and feelings, to be reaching out with his healing and provision, praying at the same time that people will be turning to God, crying out to him, asking the eternal, meaningful questions and getting the eternal, meaningful answers. Whether it's Googling how to pray, tuning into a virtual church service, or just being loved and cared for by a neighbour or stranger. He didn't send the virus. He doesn't like bleak news any more than we do. But to God be the glory if the unmentionable new normal means countless people worldwide opening up their lives to him and following Jesus Christ. Never mind that, Lord, how are my shares doing? There's a phrase which keeps coming back to me as I'm praying at the moment for countries in Europe with the least Christian commitment among 16 to 29-year-olds. Links to eternity. As the lockdown eases, may we individually, as Jesus praying on the mountain, link to eternity. And as small groups and even crowds are allowed again, may we, as Jesus with his disciples, or a 5,000, be channels of his healing, channels of his provision, links to eternity. As I settle down now to watch yet another bake-off or sewing bee, and long for cricket and football and people and crowds, remind me, Lord, links to eternity. Remind me, Lord, revival globally, nationally, here in Weston, is more important than playing or watching sport, or whatever your version of sport is. And if it's particularly hard at the moment, maybe say or sing the words of a golden oldie to the tune of Finlandia, which I found a real help recently. I recommend the Megan Smith choir version on YouTube. Be still, my soul, the Lord is on thy side. Bear patiently the cross of grief and pain. Leave to my God to order and provide. In every change he faithful will remain. And later, be still my soul, the waves and winds still know his voice who ruled them while he dwelt below. Amen. And now it's back to Andy Pandy, or maybe Captain Tom.